promises that they made likely will not come true.
And in terms of how much money Vancouver will make, I assume in the whole process that was the big push to the people of Vancouver, is how it would bring attention both in tourism but then just in infrastructure building.
Yeah, and one of the impacts that certainly happen is that gentrification was an issue in Vancouver prior to the Olympics coming here. We have a downtown peninsula that's built up. There was already pressures on the inner city, but what the Olympics do is that they accelerate these development paths. So the impacts are far greater and they happen at a faster rate. Around the economics, we've had reports done by PricewaterhouseCoopers, by the Sauder School of Business at UBC. And even during the bid process, they talk about, X number of jobs. Every time a cost overrun happens, it's still viewed as a contribution to GDP based on the economic analyses that they're using. Even in Economics 101, there's a term called opportunity cost, which is you take the $6 billion they spent on the Olympic Games, and we take a look at what if we spent it in a different way. Rather than spend $1 billion on security, we had spent it on social housing. That also puts people to work. It gets people off of the street. And so when we look at Olympic numbers and the economic value of them, they need to be compared with how we would have spent that money otherwise. So in terms of what happens to a city that you live in, this is not good for working people. This is not good for low-income people. And this is essentially taking public money that benefits the private sector. And once again, it's the development sector that benefits. It's the tourism sector that benefits. And it's definitely going to have an impact on the budget that comes in, where we're going to see further cuts to social programs and healthcare.
Finally, Am Johal, I saw about a 30-second clip last night on our local news in New York of the protests. And of course, what they showed was the smashing of glass of windows of stores. Can you talk about the protests that have happened and what the plans are from today on?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many different groups that are protesting, and our agenda in terms of local people who are here is that we have been pushing housing issues and civil liberties issues and Aboriginal issues and sustainability issues. In fact, in a couple of hours, we're going to be unfurling a banner off of the Canby Street Bridge as part of the housing campaign that's being kicked off today. There's 500 red tents that are going to be distributed around the city to homeless people, which is similar to a campaign that was done in Paris. At noon today, there's a press conference where the Power of Women group based in the downtown east side, Streams of Justice, and a number of student groups are going to be part of a housing squat that begins today over the course of the next week. And next Saturday, there's going to be a rally for a national housing program. So we're going to continue with our peaceful, nonviolent protest activities, and we're going to continue with a Right to the City movement that goes well beyond the Olympic Games.
I want to thank you for being with us. Am Johal is chair of the Impact on Communities Coalition and Olympic Watch Group, speaking to us from Vancouver. When we come back from break, we're staying in Vancouver for the hour. We're going to speak with a Vancouver physician, part 2 of our conversation with Dr. Gabor Mate. Stay with us.
They blow a hole in my backyard. Everyone is gonna